What is up, God Gamers? Today I'm doing an Invoker guide for patch 13.14. This is a preemptive guide for the patch, so the patch is not live. If anything changes too crazy with this build, I will update this guide. But I played a lot of Invokers, especially on the first patch of this set when it wasn't even meta, when nobody knew what they were doing, and I was winning a lot of games with it, but since then the build has not been very strong. But this build will certainly be meta next patch. At the very least, it will be playable because Invokers and Taric specifically are getting some of the most absurd buffs I've ever seen in the history of TFT.
From the entire patch, Taric. You're looking at these numbers and you're going, my God, these numbers are insane.
What the f? So here we are in the team builder, and this is what the completed capped board looks like. This is the 6 Invoker board. There is a 4 Invoker variation that I will show in a second, and there's so many things that you can do with emblems in this build. I'm not going to get into all of it, but just know that there's so many things you can do with emblems. But before we play the build, this is the completed build, but this build is a mid-game tempo, and we're going to go back. Just stay with me. So the legends we're going to be playing when we play this build, you want to play a lot of combat augments. Veigar, if you want to force this build, Veigar is going to be your go-to guy because you can get Jeweled Lotus for free, and then you don't have to build spell crit on your Karma. Karma is the main carry of this build, so I can feel very nice. And combat augments are just super strong in this. Vlad is another good option, getting the transfusion value, getting battle ready, that sort of thing. Things that help you stall out are very nice, and then also things like Ascension are nice, which I believe Veigar has in his tree as well. Other than that, any legend that gives you extra items like Ornn, Bard, those are fine too. You have a lot of places you can put items. You can put items on Karma, Ahri, soraka, Taric, Shin. You do need a lot of items in this build, so those can work out fine as well. And then also I think Earth is good because, again, as I just said, you can play around a lot of emblems. So just think about those things. Those are going to be your best legends. But if you want to just try forcing the build and you don't really know what you're doing, Veigar is probably your best option here. So augments real quick. Augments are going to be the Invoker-based ones. You guys know what I'm talking about. Just any of them that are Invoker-based are very strong in this build. Combat augments are strong. Definitely need combat augments. But you can take one econ augment maybe, and that'll be fine. But this build needs like a lot of stall and a lot of extra help in the augment department. At least when I was playing it before. Maybe it's a little bit stronger now. And then extra items are also good. Like we just said, you have a lot of places you can put items. If you get Galio's hero augment, the Winds of War, then it does change your build a little bit. And before, I would not even play Galio, but Galio is getting a substantial buff, and Soraka is getting buffed as well. And so if you get the Galio augment and you want to play Galio, then you put your tank items on Galio and you reroll Galio and Soraka along with your Karma. Standard, you typically don't reroll Galio ever. You don't put items on them, but if you do get the hero augment, it can be good. So the win condition of this composition is going to be a Karma 3-star plus a Soraka 3-star or an Ahri 2-star. So it's Karma plus one of those two, Soraka 3 or Ahri 2. With a strong frontline, you need a very strong frontline. This is a mid-game tempo comp. If you don't know what that means, it means your strongest point in the game is going to be on stage 3 and early parts of stage 4. That is when we want to spike. That is when we want to spend a lot of our gold. But this build can get to a top 2 if you cap out with your Ahri 2-star, your Karma 3, and you have a really, really thick frontline. Then you can make some quick work of everyone else. Okay, some items. As you can see, I have a lot of items placed on some units here. You want to prioritize getting carry items for Karma. Before, I used to prioritize Soraka and then transition the items, but I think it is just with Karma's buffs and the way that she's changed her, not as tied to her Ionia bonus anymore. I think the items just immediately go in your Karma instead of trying to run the duo carry thing and flip it off like I used to recommend. So you want to prioritize carry items for Karma. And then after that, your next prioritization is going to be tank items. You need a lot of stall for Karma to get her damage off. So, and I believe the tank items will go on to Taric this patch because Taric, again, is receiving the most absurd buffs I've ever seen in the history of TFT.
In the entire patch, Taric. You're looking at these numbers and you're going, my God, these numbers are insane.
What the f? So it may, like, seriously, this unit is... Oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this to Taric. I cannot believe this. But yeah, so the items probably go on to Taric, but if not, they go into Shin. Shin is a great tank. And then again, if you run Galio Winds of War, then the items go on to Galio there. After that, you look for your additional carry items, and we'll be good to go. So let's talk about items real quick, and then I'll take you through some of the builds. I told you I'd go through, as you can see at the top of my screen, I have a bunch of different variations of builds, and I'm going to show you what it looks like at level 6, level 7, the completed build, and then a variation where you run 4 Invoker. Okay, so items. Again, we talked about our prioritization. Karma. On 6 Invoker, it's going to be Spell Crit. If you don't have Jeweled Lotus, you're going to look for Spell Crit plus or an Archangel plus healing And then plus Giant Slayer. Giant Slayer is going to be good, or Guard Breaker is going to be good there. You do not need a mana generation item when you're running 6 Invoker. Her mana is very low. You just want more damage. You want to get your damage off. It's going to be good to go. If you're running 4 Invokers, it's going to be Jeweled Lotus or Archangel, you know, like Jeweled Gauntlet or Archangel, depending on what augments you have here. But you just want a lot of damage, plus healing, plus blue buff is going to be your best bet. If you don't end up getting healing, you get healing from your augments or something like that. Yeah, I think healing is very strong in this board. Then you can run a Giant Slayer over a healing item, that sort of thing. But you do want a blue buff if you're only going to run 4 Invoker. It'll raise your damage quite a bit. Soraka is going to be Archangel Sojin +1. If you don't end up getting the Sojin, it's fine. Whatever, who cares? That's fine, but it is better with Sojin because her mana cost is quite high. And then when you move the items over the Ari is not benefiting from 6 Invoker. She's only getting the non-invoker bonus, right? So having a mana item on her can be quite nice. Obviously, blue buff is great onto Ari, but Sojin is a better item on Soraka, and Soraka is going to be your item holder there. And then Lissandra just holds the Morello. She's also the one that holds a Chalice if you end up building a Chalice. A lot of people would think maybe you'd put it on Soraka, but if you put it on Soraka, Soraka actually casts a little bit too early into the fight, and you don't get the full benefit of her heal, especially if you put another mana item on her. She will insta-cast and will heal nothing. So it's very bad to do that. But also the great thing about Lissandra is when you put the Chalice on her and then you're having to put her in between both of your carries, Lissandra is short range, so she'll move. So you won't be all clumped and your whole backline won't be clumped in the same spot if you get J forward or something like that. And so it's really nice that you have a unit that will leave and will help you with a lot of units who have targeting where they throw things at the largest clump. It can potentially make it to where your carry side is not the side with the largest clump, which is nice. So yeah, it goes on here. And also you get pretty much an insta-cast, instant application of your Morello. So yeah, this is where the Chalice goes for sure. And then we already talked about where the tank items go. All right, now let's talk about, as I said, this is a mid-game tempo comp, meaning that you want to spike on stage 3, stage 4. So you will be rolling on level 6 most of the time, unless you are able to tempo into this board, meaning that like you just get the board for free, then you can go to level 7 and roll. But if you don't tempo in this board and you need to like do a board flip, meaning you're running like Sorks or something like that, and you're going to transition in Invokers, yeah, typically you want to roll on level 6 because the board spikes pretty well on level 6. And this is what the level 6 variation looks like. Again, here's our Karma, Soraka, Lissandra backline, and then we're going to just run Kassadin and 4 Invoker right here. If you happen to hit 6 Invoker, like you hit Shin, then you just don't play Tarek, and you play the 6 Invoker with the Snake Lady down here, and then you'll just put your tank items onto Shin, and you just won't worry about putting your tank items on Tarek, and then at level 7 you add in Tarek. Pretty simple, right? So yeah, this is what it looks like. We want to roll for 2 stars here. Definitely want a Soraka 2-star, and some frontliners 2-star. You know, you can't always hit Tarek 2-star, or you can't always hit a 3-cost 2-star here, but you definitely want Soraka 2, especially if you have items on her, and you really want to have some 2-star frontliners, and that can save you a lot of HP on stage 3, make you quite strong. If you can 2-star the whole build, awesome, that's great. And this is what your level 6 board will look like. Again, if you end up having a blue buff, just slam the blue buff onto the Karma, and maybe we don't play 6 Invoker this game. Maybe we only play 4 Invoker. I think that's the indicator to only play 4 Invoker is when you have blue buff. But if not, you know, we just slam our carry items here onto our Karma, and we're good to go. This is what it looks like. Okay, this is what our level 7 board looks like. Now we have the 6 Invoker activated. We have the Snake Lady down here. Something to note, we do not have Ionia in yet, but remember, Karma is getting buffed. She is not as tied to her Ionia bonus anymore, which is very cool. It's going to make her feel a lot stronger in this build. Once we're here, tank items here. Looks like what we already talked about here. Boom, bam, boom, Bob's your uncle. We're good to go. And then here is what the final board looks like. And so we'll add in Ari for our 3 Ionia, and we will transition the items off of Soraka onto Ari. If we had additional carry items for Soraka, then they go onto Ari now, onto the Ari 2-star, or Ari 1-star if we had a Soraka 2-star. Then you transition them over here, and that's fine. You're good to go. If you have a Soraka 3, then don't worry about it. You can leave the items off of your Soraka 3. But I think if you have a Soraka 3 and then you hit a Ari 3, if you don't have extra items, then consider selling your Soraka 3 to put them on R2. I know that sounds crazy, but consider it. But you could probably just get more. If you end up getting a RE3 and you have a Soraka, or RE2 and you have a Soraka 3 and a strong front line, you're probably going to make it late into the game. So you could probably just get items off of Carousel for your RE. She just needs an Archangel, and she can, you know, she can make light work of the enemy team. So this is what this looks like here. And then this is what a 4 Invoker variation looks like. Again, you just want more frontline. So this is what a 4 Invoker variation could look like, where you just run a Bruiser frontline here. It gives you Freljord for free right here, and you just have a lot of frontline. Additionally, if you have like Bastion emblems, you can run some Bastion setups or some Bastion frontlines. You know, you could run Kassadin, Cassante here, right, if you wanted to. But I think it's better if you have an emblem. Additionally, Targon emblem is really good in this because you have so much shielding, so much healing, and if you get a Targon emblem, the spike at 4 Targon is kind of insane. So especially if you have leftover 80 items, consider running a Phelios in this build. Phelios does not need Deadeye at all. So if you randomly just get a bunch of swords, consider running a Phelios and doing some tech there, especially if you have Targon emblem or something like that. But anyways, guys, this is what the board looks like. Hope you guys have fun playing this on this patch. It will certainly be a playable build. I can't guarantee how strong it'll be. And again, if the build changes wildly, which I do not think it will, but if the build changes wildly, I will try to update this, assuming I play a lot of games with it. I don't even know if I'm going to play the build. I'm a little bit of a hipster, and I like to play what's not meta, or like if people are forcing something, I don't really like to play it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see how the meta shakes out. If people are playing this build a lot, I probably won't play a whole lot of it. Don't really like playing contested rerolls. But if not, then hey, I'll be playing it a lot, and I'll keep you guys updated. But anyways, that's pretty much it for the guide. Good luck climbing. Good luck with this. I love you all, and I love TFT.